Good morning, everybody. Come on in. Today, we want to say, what? You don't have any spikes on your orchids yet? Well, there could be lots of reasons for that, but maybe it's not too late. You can still get some. So this is what you have to do. So, we do know first that we need at least 2 leaves. You count 1, 2, and under there, if there's no old spike from last year, you could have a spike. But if there's a spike from last year, you won't get another one in that spot. You need 2 leaves and then a spike. Let's see. I have one here that would be a good example. Sure. Here's the one on the new stand. And we have 2 leaves on this side. There's 1 on the top and 2, and there's the spike. But on this side, see if I can get it, on this side, maybe from this side. There, you see the old spike sticking out? And 1, 2 leaves. You cannot get a spike on that side because you need 2 leaves and a free space to get a spike. So there's our 2 leaves on this side. And we have a spike. So that's one thing you consider, and that's why it's always nice to encourage leaves on your orchids, leaves and roots, energy, storage for flowers. That's what we want. So if you have an orchid and there's no spike, but you don't have 2 leaves, you have to wait for next year. You have to be patient. It needs lots of light to gather that energy and nitrogen to grow those leaves. Light and extra nitrogen to grow those leaves and roots. For this time of the year, we get our spikes. So, and if you have those leaves and there's still no spike, then what I think you should do is, if you have a small room in your house, even a bathroom, it doesn't matter if you have the heat on in the rest of the house or air conditioning, depending on where you are. But if you have a room where at night, when you go to bed, you take your orchids in there, and if there is cold air outside and a window, open the window a tiny bit. Don't have your orchids right near the open window. I do in the fall because it's not that cold, but if you're somewhere where it's freezing or snowing, you want to open the window but have them back from it. You want 10 to 15 degrees cooler at night, and in the morning when you get up, that way you don't have to worry about light coming in because it's their nighttime. So that would be an easy way to solve that problem. Now, that would work, and in the morning they go back where they usually go. And if you do that for a week to 2 weeks, it should give them that temperature change that Phalaenopsis love to get to spike. So, and I love Phalaenopsis because up here where we live, like right now, our humidity is very poor. We've had nothing but cold weather, very little humidity at all, next to no snow here where we live, but up in the mountains, lots of snow, as you sometimes see. But very little snow, very little moisture, very dry, so we have our furnace on, and even sometimes if it's raining outside, you can open a window and let some humidity in, but we can't. We just don't have the humidity. We're not coastal. We're on the interior of British Columbia. And we are on a big lake, and we thank our lucky stars for that because we're surrounded by mountains. which collect snow all winter and fill our lake so we have water in the summer, even this past summer when it was very dry and very hot. So there's one thing that you can do to maybe encourage those orchids to take a little spike, because if you're in an area where your house is always the same temperature because of air conditioners or whatever you have, if all year long it's the same temperature, they have to get that cool. And some people will take a bowl of ice and put it by them overnight. There's people that have old refrigerators set to the perfect temperature, they put them overnight. So, I mean, there's lots of things we can do, but probably the simplest is a little room that you don't mind using for a couple weeks and keep it cooler so your thermostat doesn't drop and your furnace is always coming on. Excuse me. So, always different things this time of the year. And so that's what I would do. And also, I have started, because my spikes are getting quite a bit bigger, I brought in my stakes and I've been hooking them on. I want to show you and tell you why I use these. And I'll show you a close-up of what's happening after. We were just grocery shopping, and when you go into our mall, it's not a mall, it's just a grocery store on the hill. Excuse me. And then you drive down this road and there's all these places where you can charge an electric car. And I think there's a few people in San Juan that have electric cars, but we never see anybody using those. I think once we saw somebody reading a book in there charging their car, and it's like we drive this old vibe. And do you think we could afford an electric car? I don't think so. But they're trying to shove it down our throats. And do you know, I heard the next thing is there's going to be a shortage of toilet paper all over the world. And they're going to make us get those toilets that do everything. And you just won't buy toilet paper anymore. Oh, my brother stopped someplace when they came by through here, and they had heated toilets and, oh my goodness, all this stuff, and water comes rushing up and does clean you up and blows you dry and you're all done. Or an outhouse outside. I don't know, things are getting strange out there, because we went to shopping yesterday and there was no toilet paper on the shelves at No Frills. Well, next to no, it was empty, empty, empty. What is this? Anyway, that's getting off the topic. So I think that's the main thing I want to say. And I'm going to take you for a little tour and show you and tell you a few things that I do to help keep my humidity up in our home, because our furnace will be on all the time and the air is very dry. So I'm going to show you what I do. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay. Okay. And you can do some of these things, like if your air is really dry. See, here I have lava rock and water. So this plant is staying nice and humid. And I haven't tried to stake these spikes yet because they're still too small. And if you go and force them into a stake at that size, you could possibly break one. And you don't want to do that. So here we have one leaf, two leaves, and a spike. But on this side, we have one leaf, two leaves, last year's spike. So there is not room for one there. And here I have a mister also going. So, and here, now this is something I've had a traffic cone in and took it out because I put it in one of the new stands. And this isn't the glass, this is the glass from this that I've had for years. And Jack has put some holes in this for me so water will drain. And I'm not sure what orchid I'm going to put in it, but I'm going to try a little experiment. And I do like the lava rock. If you're somewhere where there's a lot of humidity, you want holes for air, and you want nice chunky media that will let lots of air in. So you have air, and then you can water it more often. You don't have to worry because they will dry quicker. And that's what you want. And if you're trying to use small bark and you're in a humid area, you're just going to run into trouble. So that's what I did there. And of course, this is the new stands I got. And I got my nice new things on. They're nice little clamps, and they're bigger. I was using little kids' hair clips, but these are nice and round, and they fit really nice on this big spike. Oh, the phone is ringing. And it's starting to form already. And here we have one leaf, two leaves, and a spike. One leaf, two leaves, last year's spike. So, and this was an orchid that flowered in November. So it's doing really good. It was, let me see, it may have been August. No, April. I got it April 10th. So it may not flower this year, but it's good and healthy. It never got limp. It's the one I dumped the fat on by accident. So here we have lots of leaves and a really nice spike coming. And I've also got my clips on there. So.
And the bees.
Huh?
Bees.
Oh. Okay, Jack's trying to tell me something and he's spelling out letters like, you act them out. Okay, so here we barely had the two leaves. We got one new one and a spike. Yeah, and here we got one. Now watch your leaves, because watering day yesterday, this is one of the oldest leaves, and this one did suffer for a while. But it's coming good now. The last leaf is looking healthy, but it did suffer. It's the two orchids that spent the heat dome out in the greenhouse, and I forgot about them. And they almost died. But anyway, these leaves that are old and hang close to the medium, and if you see an orchid that's struggling, I found, and I watch every watering day for scale. All around the edge was scale, and I had to clean that up because they're closer to the humidity down here, and they look for old leaves with cuts, and this is the oldest leaf on this. This one didn't have any, but you have to keep your eyes open all the time and watch for these things before they become a problem. So here we have a real thick spike coming and lots of leaves. So like it's coming from this side, and there's still two leaves on this side that are free, so whether I'll get another spike, I don't know. And then I have this one. I think I have to go put a new disc in this. We buy the little discs and just put them in, so I think that one quit working. That's my garage sale mister, and this one's working quite happily. And if you have misters of any kind, whether they're this kind or this kind, any kind, make sure you clean them. I've cleaned all mine. I do it regularly because otherwise they're throwing bad stuff into your air that can really bother your lungs. So this one barely did. Look at this. There's an old spike because a leaf has come off. And here's a little one. And look at this. And there's the other leaf, but it still gave a spike. It's quite amazing. But here's an old one, and it has two. So very strange and very interesting. Okay, let's go look over here. So there's my fishy one. So it's happily misting. It does a good job. I've been very happy with this fish, but he has to sit in a bowl because sometimes he makes little messes. And then I got that at the thrift store one day. I just kind of liked it. I do like my little tchotchkes or whatever. So this one has a nice spike going too. And of course, here's one of my bowls I just filled. A little too high, so it's not misting yet, but it's working. Still making humidity. So good roots still coming here. That's good growth on the tips. And here we have 1 leaf, 2 leaves, and then our spike coming in there. So, and of course this is the little pyloric orchid, and look at her leaves. She's getting another one, but she flowered in the summer. Oh yeah, I did notice she has a spike. She is very, very, very healthy because we had flowers not long ago. Very happy with her. Her name is Phalaenopsis Vivian Sogo F858. If you ever see one, this is amazing. And then here's Georgia Pearl. She's also doing good, getting a nice new leaf. So that's what's happening in there. And over here, I just have one of these, Mr. Anything that's putting humidity in the air, and I keep an eye on my humidity. I can never get it too high. Even with all these going, our air will be too dry. So there's a nice, and I have old stakes from Orchids that's what I forgot to show you, but I will. Okay, and here where I was hoping I was getting a spike, I guess the word is out, it's probably a new growth, but we're hopeful. So anyway, I better show you the stakes. They're so old, I've been using them for years. Years and years. They're getting rusty. So you can see here, these are clamps, and you can see how old I've been using them. Just maybe I should paint them. And then I don't know if it solders or welds, he braises or something. Those are old orchid things. When you buy an orchid here, that's what you get, holding the flower up. And so he braises it on, and the reason I use those is I don't want to hit any roots. There's so many roots in here, and I don't want to hit them. And it's hard to get something that will stay firm. Sometimes I tie this down, but I haven't any need, and it's so thick that these work so good. And they're my go-to ones. Although I've got lots of them I'm using. This one I did slowly try to put just a short one in because its spike is light, it's not heavy. So I did take one and just very carefully put it in the ground. And here is one that I wound around something round. I can't remember what I used. And then I put it onto the side of the pot, and they cling very strong. Once you got it, that's real hard wire. But then this is just a short one too, so it makes a difference. Okay, let's go in here. Okay, so here I have a mister blowing here for these plants because a rabbit foot fern has trouble come winter. It does lose leaves, so. But this little Chinese penny plant, look at it. It's doing so good, and it's got babies, and it seems very happy. So, this is the spike that I broke off. I didn't even know I broke it off. Here. So, and up here. And there's another one. It's a clamp that holds, and then I can clamp them on and bend those wires any which way I choose to. And the spider plant is doing quite well. It's getting newer shoots, sending out shoots, and it's starting to get new leaves settling into our home compared to being in a greenhouse where there's more humidity. So, dropping little brown things on here. I'm still waiting for a day when they all flowered at once. One of them is in spike, one was in spike in the summer. So, and this is Phal Memorial Retig, and she is doing good. Look at all her leaves. But she does bloom a little later, and it took me a long time to realize she does not want to be anywhere near a window. Took me a long time to figure that out. Okay, I am going to show you out the window at our beautiful day. Of course, Maggie's in her spot, aren't you, Maggie? Huh? Are you in your spot? Huh? Huh? Are you a good girl? Yes. Okay, here we are. Sunshine. Parts of the lake has started to freeze because it's so shallow from not much water this year. But that's what we have outside. Okay. Okay, bye for now. I hope that was a little helpful. Bye for now.